Hi guys, I'll try to show you how to install and solve the problem where Firebase is slowing down the compile time and previously even entering play mode. So I have here an empty Unity project. I only added a few things to it, so I added these files that you install Firebase plugin. There's just one empty script, so we have one for recompile has something to recompile later. And in the editor, I have this commented out script we'll talk about later, and I made this compile time tracker. And what it does, it is a static class that is initialized on load, which means after each recompile, Unity will call its static constructor, and also when you enter play mode. At that point, it will subscribe to this editor application update method, and then on each update, it will try to detect if compiling is starting, and then save the compile start time in session state. Or detect if you're just entering play mode, and in that case it will save the time when you are entering play mode. And then when either of those finishes, the initialization will be called again, and frame count will be initialized to 2, and then this will start executing again, and it will wait until 2 frames pass. And when they do, it will try to load those times, and if it finds any of those, it will take the current time and see how much time has passed since the compilation or entering play mode started until this second frame basically came to be, and it will clear this data at the end. So this basically measures the time from the moment when compilation starts until 2 frames after compilation finishes, and also the same for the play mode. And it is done that way because Firebase is actually, after recompile, it has its own class with this attribute, which is called, so that's called immediately after recompile. But in its static constructor, it says run on main thread, and then it calls something, and that run on main thread will actually run the provided lambda on the next update, which will also block Unity for some time on that update. And so that is why we measure time until even the second update. So let's see how that looks in an empty project. So if I recompile by re-importing editor script, it takes 2.2 seconds, and try one more time. 2.1 second, and if we re-import non-editor script, takes 2.5 seconds, and one more time, 2.5 seconds. So this is probably more important for us. So 2.5 seconds it takes to re-import and recompile non-editor script in an empty project. Okay, so at this point we need to download dependency manager and Firebase plugins. I usually just search for Unity dependency manager, external dependency manager, and yeah, we're looking for GitHub link. So Unity jar resolver is what we need, and in the code section we need to download the Unity package file, so it's this one. I already downloaded it. And then we also need Firebase Unity. So when you go to its documentation, we can find the installation section, and we don't want Unity package manager because that creates more issues. So for manual installation we want to take a look at this part, and here is a link where you can download Facebook Unity SDK, but as you can see it's pretty big, so it will take some time. I already downloaded and extracted that zip as well. So let's install them in order. So first I will install external dependency manager. So after this we will have the latest external dependency manager. So let's import that. Okay, now I usually check in these settings here. So this thing is all okay. Oh, and here is Android Resolver. That also has some settings that I like to change. So let's see. So use Gradle Diamond that we want disabled. Enable auto resolution. This sometimes comes enabled. I disabled that. I don't want it to resolve all the time. I want to resolve only once. I also don't want it to do resolution on build. I want to resolve it once and commit that to the project so that the builds are reproducible and deterministic. These two options are okay. I disable this warning. I disable patch Android manifest, and I disable main tempo Gradle patching. This is all because I want to do resolving once and take all the resolved dependencies into the project, commit them in the project, so that my builds are always made with the same libraries. I want to use Jettify libraries, which are newer, and yeah, disable these two. Okay, so once that is set up, let's see if our compile time changed at this moment. So if I re-import this now, 2.75, so it's 200 milliseconds longer now. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, so about 200 milliseconds slower, so we're up to 2.7 seconds. Let's also try entering play mode. 1.9 seconds. 1.9 seconds. Okay. So once that is installed, we need to install Firebase. In our project, we are using .NET 4, and we are not using all of these. We are using analytics, but we don't want their dependency manager. We already have the latest one, so let's import that. Next, we use Crashlytics. Can disable this. Okay, and the last thing we use is Crashlytics and messaging push notifications. And I can disable this. At this point, we would run manually the force resolve because we disabled auto resolving. To pop up this window. Now this will pull all the Android libraries that are needed for Firebase under plugins Android. See all those AAR files are being put into the project, and we commit those files in the project so that we always have the same libraries in when we build the project. And it says resolution succeeded. Now once that is, yeah, I forgot to mention just one thing. Before you do force resolve, you need to check in the project settings for Android if you build for both of these platforms, you need to have them both checked before you run for force resolve, because force resolve, if you for example had only this checked, and you do force resolve, it wouldn't pull some of the libraries for this platform. And if you later try to build for this platform, that wouldn't work. So you need to have those enabled properly. Okay, so now that we have Firebase and we have these files that Firebase is processing in the old version on each recompile and enter in play mode, we can now check again what are the times, except that we know that in this latest version Firebase actually fixed enter in play mode time, so it's only compile time that should still be problematic. So let's re-import this script a few times now. So we jumped from what was 2.7 seconds, right, to 3.8, so it's a second longer now. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, so that is the time now. This is even actually better than what we saw with a bit earlier version of Firebase, where this would take like 5 to 10 seconds more. So they might have optimized the Python script that was running for 5 or 10 seconds. They might have also optimized that to be faster. But still, if we want to cut this time down, I will show now how to edit Firebase. So we would open dnspy, and in our we would find our project in the file explorer, so Firebase test, and under external dependency manager editor, we would take all these DLLs and put them into dnspy, and then we will also need to find the Unity. Where is Unity installed? So go into its installation folder and then editor folder, data, managed, and put Unity editor and Unity engine DLLs. And we also found that Firebase depends on one more file, and that one is in playback engines IS support, and then it's this one, extensions Xcode DLL. So put that one in, and now we are ready to put Firebase editor DLL in. Yeah, and now we can check if all its dependencies are there. So we just open it, we open its references, and if all these references are easily found, that's okay. So this one is found, this one as well, this one as well. This is a system one, so it's added automatically here as soon as you click on it. System as well, system as well, system as well. Unity editor is found, Unity editor IS extensions is found, and Unity engine is found. So we have all the references in place. That means we are ready to edit the file. So if we look at this class, we can see here the Firebase fix that they implemented. So if they will only run this code if you are not entering play mode, so it only happens on recompile now, and it on main thread calls this check configuration thing, which then takes time in the next update, basically from the recompile. But we don't want that, so we will say edit class C#. We will say take this, Control H, replace it with empty string, so we don't have compile errors because of that. And then we will delete this code. We will then find check configuration. This we will change it to be public, so we can call it whenever we want, and we will also put above it menu item, window Firebase check configuration, window Firebase check configuration. Okay, so we can call it from the menu later. And now when we press compile, we'll get a few errors because we put in the latest 2019.4 Unity version of DLLs, which have some things different. So this is now called iOS, and two more places, here, here, and here we will replace this with application is batch mode, and here as well. And now when we press compile, it compiles it successfully. And once we have that, we can click save module and we will just overwrite the original file. Okay. And Unity will then load in that new assembly. Okay, and let's see what happens when we re-import now. So it was 3.7, 3.8 seconds. Now it's 3.1. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, 3.1. So we saved some 600 milliseconds, which is not that bad. As I said, Firebase probably optimized it a bit in this latest version. For the end, I could also show actually, if we go window analysis profiler, so we can say we want to profile editor, and then we can click record and re-import this script. And as soon as re-importing finishes, we need to turn off recording and take a look at this first frame that lasted long. So it's this one, 2.5 seconds. And at this point, so these are the first two things that took the most time, and we won't find that Firebase Google class in either of them now because we fixed the DLL. So in reload assemblies, here is process initialize and load attributes, but that only calls the constructor. It's 27 milliseconds, so that is fine. But then scene tracker call update functions, which executes those run on main thread things. Now it doesn't have a Google thing here. So we will clear that. And then we will restore the original DLL. So whatever package they all have it. So we just want you to Firebase editor DLL to restore it. Port. Let's verify that it takes 3.7 seconds again. Here we are, we're back on that longer time. So let's look at the profiler again. So we turn on recording, script, turn it off, and yeah, this is the long one, 3.1 seconds. So now when you look at the scene tracker, which had that call update functions, it should now have Google. Oh, damn, I forgot one thing. It's here. In order to see these calls, we need to actually enable deep profile. Okay, with deep profiling enabled, let's record again, import. Let's take a look now. So this is the log one. It's even longer now because deep profile is turned on. So let's see this what the scene tracker has now. So call update functions. Oh yeah, it's under execute all. I think, yeah, here it is, run on main thread execute. And then under it, we can see there are also some other external dependency things that execute here, but one of the longer ones is this generate XML from Google Services JSON, which then calls into check configuration, which calls Python executor, and that runs for 600 milliseconds, which is what we saved after our change. And you see version handler itself also runs some things which take time. So yeah, that's how you can find what is working slow. And yeah, I think that is it. Good luck.